Alrighty. Hello,
Welcome. Oh,
Okay,
I was going to
sorry.
do it last time. That's welcome
Go ahead,
everyone.
Ari.
This to another Hong Kong House of Cards for September 25th, 2015. And today we have Charlie going to see Rachel Tenenbaum. Unusually, because she's also a CEO, you have to make an appointment with the secretary and such. But she's actually on set for this appointment and has a seat on her office away from her office with a latte in a biodegradable cup, of course.
Of
And
course.
and she gestures at Charlie to come on in, have a seat.
He walks in. Thanks her for having him.
Not a
Um,
problem.
I wanted to make a report on my trip with two of the representatives of the Tarot Council to the City Father, and what I found out with him. Well, them.
Them?
Uh, because the city being split like it is, it's split the spirit's personality into three personalities, but they all are Hong Kong, and they all know about each other to a certain extent.
She's going to nod at that and start writing that down. If it wasn't for the oath of secrecy that the Bodhisattva made us all swear to, that information alone would justify some study.
Yeah. Uh, the issue I found was 2/3 of him are with us, one is not.
Well, that's unfortunate.
The youngest aspect is with the technocracy, only because that that aspect believes that it can help strengthen the People's Liberation Army's influence in Hong Kong for China, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. The city's changed hands so often in the last few centuries.
The traditional aspect of the eldest one is neither for us or against us, but he could be swayed either way if we can make things a better offer for him. And the middle one, which is the British colonial aspect,
With us?
uh, I've offered him the eldest one a shrine here at the Sept if it was okay with you, but he said he preferred Lung's company than Cockroach.
She nods and says, inform Sun Ai. I'm sure Sun Ai can be reasonable about something like this.
The other one, his suggestion on breaking the technocracy's influence on Hong Kong uh, would basically mean we break the contract that Hong Kong has with China and have its control revert back to Britain.
She's going to stop at that and she's going to put her latte down and she's going to say, tell me, were you in the city in the 90s when the changeover happened?
Oh, I wasn't even shifted at that time.
She nods and says, the changeover happened thanks to a century-old treaty. And Great Britain did lodge a protest with the United Nations, and the United Nations was in an anti-colonial mood. changeover was inevitable. And I don't see how we can reverse it without starting a war. Or what may be more likely, and we would need to build a lot of influence to do this, is to build a Hong Kong independence movement. But we'd be talking about doing that from scratch.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I suggested it to him, but he didn't go with it. He wanted control to revert back to Britain.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
I don't either. But if we can do it like this, that will also help me somewhat keep my end of the bargain. I'm not saying it'd be right away. I didn't tell him it would be right away. It'd be long term. But I did make some headway and got him to where that aspect sent over limited protection over to all the museums, not just the mall.
All right.
To protect the eldest aspect, but we'll probably need to reinforce their places of power and those museums at some point.
All right. She'll nod at that point.
Just to help them, out, because the eldest aspect is kind of getting bored down, being overpowered by the other two, with the youngest one winning.
All right. That means we need to bolster up the spiritual aspects. Priority on that will go to the temples.
I know of one for the eldest, and the other one is at the mall. Fortunately, there was one to the youngest, but it was the closest one to Master's security.
She'll nod.
Fortunately for us,
we may have to. She looks kind of distantly for a moment, and then she looks back at you and says, "We may have to sabotage some of the Chinese military installations in the city to weaken the youngest."
All right. I know several of our Rakabashes would jump at that notion.
Keep me informed, but don't give me details.
All right. I actually I did put this all in a written report with the secretary, but I wanted to do this in person because it was that important.
Of course.
I also, while I was in Master Security, I used the powers of that Lord Roach grants his stepchildren, and I tapped into the data streams while I was in Master Security.
All right.
And came out with my mental stability intact, and but I did pull out some of their more their low security grade stuff, and a little bit more that I could get my hands into. Blueprints of theirs that they were working with, and I've already passed it on to the more tech savvy of the R&D people.
All right. Do limit your sabotage of Masters. They may be a security company, but we are still guests of the Hengyokai.
Yeah.
The PLA directly will be where we'll have to focus our efforts.
All right. The only reason why I was able to tap into the data streams was at all was there was an assault made by the Terrell Council's tower because of one of their more I would say the thing looked like Iron Man, the Hulkbuster.
Oh yes, the one moment, I gotta remember exactly what I wrote down the PLA code name for it. Where did I put that freaking gossip thread? Here it is. The Quay powered armor.
Yes.
It's quite unusual that Tenenbaum Technologies has an exclusive contract with the Chinese military, and yet I was just as surprised when I saw the news that it was announced as anyone else.
It was. It's an interesting piece of hardware. While I was in that assault, I watched a. He stopped for a second and look a little bit off. A Garal actually strike the armor, and it did nothing.
Yes, according to our R&D, that armor is advanced ceramics coupled with will worker magic.
Considering it stood up against my claws as well, is kind of what I thought of. It was coupled with the will worker magics, and we need to be careful. One of the labs that held the power center for the repair beam coming out of Hong Kong to the wall.
Yes,
The
I did hear about that. Excellent work.
uh, Thank you. That we need to be careful on how we use Lord Roach's gifts that he grants his stepchildren. When I tapped in the data streams, it sounded so much like the Borg cube in there.
She's going to pause at that and she's going to say, all right, I'm going to confer with Lord Roach.
All
And
right.
I'm going to see what he has to say about that. Not to speak ill of our totem, but
Uh,
he has a tendency to side with enemies of the wild if it suits his purposes. And I'd
when
like
I
to ensure he's not playing both sides of this.
Yeah, when I even tried to leave the elevator shaft area that we were taking cover in because we were taking fire from the Men in Black, which literally they look like the Men in Black.
Yes,
Uh,
I've heard the will workers speak of them as such. Black suits, mirror shades.
yes, and I really don't like how they do the mirror shades now, with them, but besides the point. Literally, I couldn't even leave the shaft area because and I was defaulted into a support role as much as I could in that fight was because it's basically was like literally I was in the Borg cube. All I heard was join the Weaver. Resistance is futile. You will be assimilated over and over and over.
You have been cleansed, yes?
Yes, I have, and also I have one of my tribal allies on the outside gave me a supply of some of his herbal medicines that act as a rite of cleansing. I've during that assault, I literally went through that supply, came here, and did the rite of cleansing in its traditional form.
Excellent. Well, you have my full support. I will confer with Lord Roach myself on this matter. She frowns slightly and she says, have you heard anything about the mockery breeds?
The mockery breeds?
Pentex, in association with a corporation called DNA, have created a number of genetically engineered pseudo Farah.
That's not a good thing.
No, luckily they're mostly relegated to North America and Africa. There aren't very many this far east. But one of them are were cockroaches that Lord Roach decided to take under his wing.
Oh, lovely.
I'm hoping that this isn't a similar situation where Lord Roach doesn't see kinship with these sorts of things and are granting them support.
I heard that the new in training changeling kinfolk that I brought by the other day, actually, when he in one of his trials, he went to New Orleans, and the sept there he's working with actually went on a hunt, and he confronted some like pseudo frog shifter things.
Yes. Most of with the exception of the cockroach shifters, none of them have a totem. Very few of them have gifts.
All right.
Still, it is disturbing, and Lord Roach decided to take the cockroach shifters under his wing, as I said.
Yeah. Wow, there's 19. As far as that goes, that was my report. Except in the fight, we may have to. My recommendation with the new kinfolk in training, we may have to put him with one of the clave masters or mistresses of the sept, because he in that assault he used his blade not once but twice, and two of our allies lost control of themselves because it has the power of Helios.
She sighs slightly and says, if this were any other city, I wouldn't give a damn about the way the leeches react to Helios.
True.
But this isn't any other city. I will see to it that Adam gets a more suitable weapon.
He works well with the katana, but we have to work with him to get another one that is more suited to the who we're working with, not who we're against.
I'll get him something.
All right. Sorry, I've got a lightning storm coming in on my in real life.
No, she says, I'll give him something. Crack-a-boom!
Yeah! Um,
Oh, I'll get him something, all right. I'll get him something to death. Do-do-do.
uh, at some point, I may need to. Wanting to actually get in touch with a one of the children of Fionn, a representative of theirs. I don't think there's one here in the sect.
There is not, and unfortunately, in the in order to keep the oath of secrecy, I have purposefully not brought the children of Fionn into this city.
Okay.
The big reason being that their view of openness will cause problems in keeping our agreements here. Again, if this were any other city,
It wouldn't be a problem.
exactly.
At, other than that, my pack brother Matthias, he's out in Australia, repaying a blood debt, and he might need some support at some point once I get word from him when that he needs support or reinforcements.
If if he calls Tenenbaum Technologies, my son can get out there rather immediately to grant his support.
All right, thank you on that one.
Certainly.
I think he's in over his head trying to go out, go and find Bunyip.
Restoring a dead uh, restoring a dead totem is not going to be easy.
There's a lot of renown in it to be had once if he can pull it off. The problem is with him only being the only one of his kind. He's pretty much Cleith, Adrian, Athro, and Elder all in one. This is just a formality on getting renown to get those ranks. And I think he's pulling a really big gamble that he's not prepared for, in my opinion.
Well, being the only one of his kind, he either needs to take risks or fade away.
This is true, but also the problem is if he died in between now and that risk being paying off, what would be the use? We would have lost the ears of Gaia to death, and they would fade away, and we'd lose all of that.
Oh, we still have the portion that the Shadow Lord says bound together. She says with absolute and utter distaste.
You make that it sound like they made a Frankenstein.
In a sense, they did.
Oh,
they killed him, and bound together the parts that remained that were uncorrupted, tossed aside the rest of the Black Spiral.
Oh Lord. And they wonder why we don't like them much, especially after the war.
Well, maybe Apocalypse will have given them some perspective in the universe. But I won't hold my breath.
Yes. At some point, would one of the tale singers be available? I want to learn more about the Gru lore, and if at all possible, can I get in contact with one of the tale singers of my tribe from Ireland? I think they would know more about my tribe than anybody. I want to expand my knowledge of Guru and my tribe as a whole, and more. It's a more shifter knowledge as well. And Umbral. I like learning. I'm sorry.
It's all right. Speak to my son about that at some point.
All right, will do.
Is there anything else I can help you with?
Um, Other than that, no. I just wanted to get in touch with you and share City Father's recommendation on getting rid of the technocracy's influence in Hong Kong, and what I shared with you already. Other than that, I bid you a good day, ma'am.
All right. She nods and goes back to work. Brian
He,
Tenenbaum is not on Sept at the moment. However, Mac O'Malley is, who's the Fianna den mother.
yes.
The male
Okay.
den mother. Yay.
The male den parent. He
Well,
goes and finds
yeah.
the den parent.
Hey, lad, how you doing?
Uh, uh, hey, Raya, how are you?
I'm doing perfectly all right. I am.
I came by to learn more about the tribe and the Guru, and I'll wait on my other seekings of knowledge with Brian, unless you are able to protect.
Well, I know a few tales.
All right.
He thinks a bit and he says, "Do you know why we're called upon most often to deal with the changelings?"
Why is that? I thought it was just natural.
Well, it's not quite entirely natural. You see, we've fought wars on behalf of the changelings. And it's a tale of
Ah,
love and war and fighting. And he goes on about the Fianna who fought the Fomorians, not to be confused with the Fomori, who in the early days of the Shattering and the Sundering,
yeah.
how they fought side by side and how several Fianna chiefs fell in love with several changelings and ancient pacts. And feel free to get another dot of Fianna lore for that.
All right, will do.
And that's why we're called upon to deal in matters of the changelings.
All right. That actually makes sense. For most what I've had to deal with.
He nods. Indeed.
Oh, sending over a new folk in training. He's a changeling.
Yes, Adam. It's a bit unfortunate that he has to be a child of Gaia, but
I told my sentiments exactly. I've already seen him as kin. I've actually drawn blood with the man more than once. One of them is a very very funny tale, but I promised I would keep my mouth shut about that.
and a gentleman keeps his promises, he says with a finger on his lips.
It involves his sword and gravity, but I'm not going to go into detail.
Aye, that's sort of his.
You've heard about that too.
I've heard about it, and I've been watching him train on Sept, and I've kept saying to myself, that's gonna get him in trouble.
Oh Lord.
Don't tell me. It's already gotten him in trouble.
Um, he's made one of the Kuei run away in fear, even though she will deny it with her undead life. And he's made a Tremere run away out of combat.
He made a fucking blood mage run from him.
Yeah, and on top of that, he slashed his own knee with the sword in question.
Faith in Bigora.
Uh,
Okay, bring him here. I'm gonna teach him how to fight.
all right. And you don't want to know what the first event he did with it was.
Yeah,
It
bring him
it,
here.
it involved aerial combat.
Bring him here.
Alrighty.
A new kinfolk's got to get some sense beaten into him, even if it is by a metis.
um. Out of character, wouldn't he know some Garou lore? And out of character, he is not online at the moment.
You'd have enough Garou lore to know metis are metis bad.
And
you'd also have enough Garou lore to notice that the give me a moment. I'm trying to recall exactly what his thing is. Yeah, you'd also have enough Garou lore to notice that an albino mentioning that is a metis and max albino.
I was actually thinking more along the lines of he telling me Garou stories. And right now, due to the time setting, a metis wouldn't look that odd.
No, a metis still would look even more odd because that means that he can't reproduce and bring back the numbers.
This is true, but he's a part of those numbers.
This means that he was a shock troop.
That survived. Yeah.
That survived apocalypse. It means that one of the first things that people are going to bring in mind, especially at his age, is that he might have been a coward.
Oh.
Don't say it to his face, but a metis looks more odd now, not less.
Oh, okay. Would he overtake my Garou knowledge as far as if he told me a story? Would it upgrade my Garou knowledge?
Yeah, it'll upgrade your Garou knowledge. He's willing to give. He's got Garou lore, Fianna lore, and Umbra lore all at 3, and is willing to give them away one at a time to people who deserve it.
He'd actually be willing to trade his knowledges, which are he will pretty much probably be upgrading his knowledge, which is Changeling, Dreaming, and Kuei, Kindred, and Kitsune.
Yeah, here's the thing: is he doesn't trade knowledge; he gives it to people who he thinks deserves it.
Oh, and so he thought I deserved the Fianna lore.
Yes.
If I asked...
but then again, how much Changeling lore you got?
1. And Dreaming lore 1?
Get another Changeling lore for that, because he doesn't realize it, but mentioning the Fomorians and all of those ancient battles and a couple of terms like the Sundering.
It just upgraded my knowledge.
Yes. Yes, it did.
Out of character, what's his what is his rank?
His rank?
Yes.
2.
So he's actually fostering.
Yes.
So Raya was actually good. The correct terminology. Okay. Raya, what would you like me to do if for more knowledge in the Garou and Umbra?
Oh, keep up keep doing good things for the Sept, and I'll tell you some more tales.
All right. Thank you.
He smiles and says, and bring that kinfolk to me.
Right.
I'll have to bring out my warhammers.
Out of character, he's an Overown, isn't he?
No,
Oh God.
he's a Galliard.
Oh dear Lord. That's even more passion going into those blows.
Oh yeah.
Like that.
He was a shock troop in Apocalypse who managed to survive. He was a rank 1 shock troop who managed to survive, and that's what got him to rank 2, obviously. But he's a Galliard, and he's big and tough, and he's fought battles, but he's got this massive soft spot for his tribe, and especially for cubs.
And Adam would be
another.
Yeah, and
Adam would be considered a cub.
Yeah.
And he actually has a flaw. He can't spend rage in the presence of a child.
What? What is that called?
It's a custom flaw because it just makes sense for him.
Oh, okay.
He's got this huge soft spot for children. He can't spend rage in their presence. He can't appear angry in front of children.
Oh, okay.
And it's at that point where there are children, of course, in the Sept, because they haven't been doing what a lot of after Apocalypse. What's been happening is if people have human kids, they've been raising them in the Sept.
Yeah.
For the reason that they don't want to have people running. They don't want to have kinfolk running around outside to. Because they can't risk anyone falling into the black spiral at this point.
Yep.
So at this point, cute little kinfolk girl skins her knee, and he rushes over to help her. Oi, lassie, let me see it. Oh, it's just a wee little scrape. Come on, let's get you a bandage. And he's all like crazy kind to her.
Oh. Okay, now I know who I'm going to ask to teach him later for more combat training. But then again, not in front of children.
Oh, of course. Well, you could do it in front of children. He just can't spend rage. So he's learned how to get around a lot of that. Uses a lot of gnosis gifts in combat.
Yeah, that is true. Raya, later, if you would like, I'd like to learn some more hone my combat skills with you. If that'd be all right when you're not busy.
Oh, if you really want an old fart like me to teach you those things, I can certainly arrange for it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Don't expect me to tell you much war stories about the Eater of Souls, of course.
That would that's definitely probably something that would be more of one of the Pewter lands.
He nods and says, I was there, and I can fight.
I don't doubt that.
But I haven't been keeping my weapons honed, and I guess I should be training a few of you young'uns. Do me a favor.
Alrighty.
He gives you an address and a bin number and a key, and he says, "In there is a single box. Bring that here when you bring the kinfolk. I'll teach you both."
Will do.
He nods and goes back to tending to children.
And Charlie will go deal with his self-appointed guardian duties.
Okay.
I say self-appointed because out of character, nobody's actually doled out those positions yet, and he just pretty much took it on to himself.
Yeah, Tenenbaum doesn't care who does certain things. She just cares that things get done. It's kind of a laissez-faire sort of septhead
Yeah.
kind of thing she does. But it works, especially since they're not alone and they're technically under the Hengyokai.
True. Well, I think we can end the scene here until we can get our Will
Yeah.
and both you and Will in on this.
Yep. Because Mac's gonna teach everyone how to do a Mac down.
Nice.
Yeah, he's got several claves that are not swords.
Oh.
Now hit the button before I tell you anymore.
All right.